Well, it's been a tough journey. Having to go through a world I really liked, and then just having that fondness dunked straight into the trash by its last level. However, no such thing will happen in Syrup Castle. So, the final world of the game does unfortunately have a bit of a remnant from Parsley Woods. Now thankfully, there's no cloud. I'm looking at the level right now, no cloud. However, these spiky balls are, as usual, a pretty tough obstacle to avoid, and they're being sent out in full force. Probably because we are getting pretty close to the castle. I'm sure they have some kind of defense system that just flings these things. Syrup, do you have a trebuchet over there? You better not. Of course not. If they did, Wario would already be dead. That thing can fling a 90-kilogram stone over 300 meters. How could Wario deal with such a thing? But anyway, yeah, these things are really difficult to avoid. I think this section in particular, especially since that ball tends to respawn on me. No? Maybe it was one of these sections just gave me a whole lot of trouble. I don't know, maybe because it was respawning, might have just caught up with me more often, but there was a section that I just had to repeat so many times. Anyway, here's a really mean treasure. Yeah, what the fuck is this? How did you hide this in total darkness? Anyway, we get the best treasure in the game. It's a whale. Say hello to whale. My apologies to Orb, however, you are outclassed by whale. I could see why you would want to hide this treasure in such an obscure location. You would want to keep your hands on this one, but no! Wario found it. He is a treasure-tracking genius. You can't hide such a valuable whale from him. Anyway, that's the end of the stage, and we've actually entered Syrup Castle proper. I do like that as sort of a lead-off into the rest of the final stages of the game. So, the money adds up, and we move on. So, now we're in the tower. So, course 38. Oh yeah, this one has a weird start. For some reason, all of this stuff is cemented in, and then the switch right here reverses that, so I guess you could have ground pounded those? Maybe, and then that would have done something? I mean, I'm not going back to press that switch to get those items. That's... no. They're not going to despawn, if you haven't noticed. Items don't despawn when you go through rooms, which, to be fair, is kind of neat. A lot of platformers would just say, no, you don't get that item anymore. Including other Mario games, but no. If you leave the room and come back, an item will still be there, which is, again, neat. Not really a big deal, and I've never really found it to be much of a lifesaver or anything, but just a fun fact. So most of the stage is vertical, and I'm remembering one particular part of it being kind of difficult. Not so much this one, though. I guess this is the ultimate test of Spear Guys, because it's breaking blocks in a kind of claustrophobic area, so if you're not careful you might get poked, but, you know, it's not that difficult to be careful here. Bull or Dragon would actually both be pretty useful there. Probably more Dragon, though, since that's got reach. That could just kill the Spear Guys before they're an issue. Alright, so this is the part of the stage I was thinking of. Just ladders and birds and those statues that shoot fireballs. Though clearly the stage wants me to have Jet. Clearly I'm having trouble grabbing it. Whatever. It's fine, I'm doing fine. Alright, so checkpoint, yes. Alright. So, let's see, what is in the next room? God damn it! I thought these guys disappeared in the last world. Why do you keep appearing? I hate you! Well, whatever. It's just the one, I think. I don't remember the chickens being, like, a huge deal in this world. I don't remember them ruining runs, so I think that's the only one in the entirety of the castle. And it didn't give me much of a problem because it's just right there and the enemies are easy to get, whatever. Anyway, star sections are always fun. Like, those are always nice because as you dash by them, they look like kinda difficult sections, but like, they're made for you to just blaze through them. They're pretty rare in Wario Land, and really kinda just Mario games in general. They try not to let you overuse the superstar, because typically the point of the star is to just let you have fun in a level. It's not supposed to add challenge, it's supposed to say, here, have this, destroy everything in your path. In Mario games, they're usually hidden, so, like, it's a fun little bonus you get. But in Wario Land, it is pretty much just, hey, wreck some stuff. It's kind of like the Kirby Warp Star. Just, you know, manual instead. But anyway, more importantly, by pressing this switch, the castle begins to explode. Why would you have a self-destruct switch in so low in your castle? Oh well. This doesn't change any of the levels as far as I know. However, it does add a really cool detail in the next stage. So, course 39. Yeah, so a lot of the castle has just fallen away since it exploded. And unfortunately, I'll talk more about the background in a second, we gotta use Bull Wario. I know. Right at the final world of the game. The final treasure of the game. We have a required Bull Wario. I think this is the only required Bull Wario, right? Maybe one of the early, like, Rice Beach levels requires you to use Bull Wario, but unfortunately, yeah, there's just one final treasure in this level, and you need Bull Wario to get it. And even worse, there's no Jet Wario for the rest of the game. I could go back to an earlier level and get Jet Wario, but no, I don't like repeating levels if I don't have to, so yeah, we're stuck with Bull Wario for the rest. It's been a pleasure using you, Jet, but no more. It was a last-second item, but the treasure kind of outweighs the cool power-up that I enjoy using. Anyway, though, kind of went on about that for a while, but you know what? I'm sad about losing Jet Wario. Jet Wario was a true friend, and would have really helped for this section, in which you have to bounce above a bottomless pit. And man, this is a dangerous checkpoint to get, huh? They try to snipe you. Just statues going for a 360 no-scope. But, yeah, I do like how the progress for the final world of the game is, like, at the end of almost every stage, well, at the end of half the stages are switches that make the tower itself explode. So, not only are you going up the tower, but you are notably destroying chunks of it as you go, which honestly is such a Wario thing to do. Like, yeah, that's Wario's all get out. He would destroy a tower as he climbed it. You know, Mario would just climb a tower normally, like some kind of fool, but Wario, no, he progresses through his final area in style. But, yeah, I just also think it's cool that the background reflects this. it also kind of affects the level design as well. Like, the first actual tower stage, you know, no real bottomless pits, and any bottomless pits there were like, they had those fire effects. Like, it wasn't just like a straight-up lava block, but there's like that white flame-like background that kind of implies there's fire down there. Anyway, here's a ring. Not as good a treasure as the whale, but, you know, I guess we needed something to fill out the chart. So, we do indeed have all the treasures in the game now. Which means we just need to finish out this level, and we'll only have one more to go. So, is there much else to the level? I think that was pretty much the end, wasn't it? Well, there are a couple more. Well, there are 3 more ducks. Oh, 4! Oh, gee. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Close one. Well, oh, this section. This one gave me an odd amount of trouble, but this is one of those a lack of patience gets me killed sections. Just note when the platforms rise and when new platforms appear. Also make note of the fact that you do get some air if you dash off a platform with Bull Wario. That would have been so much easier with Jet Wario, but, you know, kinda lost it. So yeah, I guess there was a fair bit more level after the secret treasure. And with that, more of the tower is destroyed. So, with that, we're not going to be doing the money minigame again. That would have been the last opportunity, but instead, we're going to move on to the final area in the game, Course 40. So, as I was saying before, while none of the levels are actually changed, now that the tower has blown up twice, there's not a lot of stable ground here. We have a lot of bouncy blocks, thankfully, that'll get us over the pit, but yeah, I do appreciate the fact that more and more of the stable ground has been destroyed, so, you know, it makes the levels more difficult. But I think that's also sort of just, like, it's a clever way of introducing more death pits into the final area. Despite the fact that we're going up the tower, which, you know, technically speaking, of course, there would be death pits, sure. You know, there's always the chance that you fall out on the outside. Except that's the problem. Now there's less inside. There's some inside, sure. But, like, so much of it has been destroyed. Not a lot remains. And I just think, again, it sort of gives a justification for the level design, but, you know, even if you don't really care about that, I just think it's a really cool aesthetic. Just over time, more and more the tower has collapsed. Other than that, while that checkpoint definitely seems familiar to me because final boss reasons, the level itself isn't too difficult. Once you get used to how these bouncy platforms work, despite how infrequent they may seem, it is actually really easy to maneuver yourself, so that's not too difficult. This might be, however, because we've got a surprise mini-boss. So this knight right here is vulnerable in the back. If you're worried about getting hit, try not to open the boxes early, because you can only defeat this guy if you have some kind of power-up. If you're small Wario, you kinda have to restart. But defeating him opens the door, and now we have a section where we have to dodge these statues spitting fire. This one's not too difficult, though. Even I can pass that without any difficulty, and really, looking back, a lot of the troubles I had were due to me being impatient. Also, this is the final normal room of the game. I don't understand why this is the final room and not the mini-boss room, but whatever. And so we finally meet Captain Syrup. She's pretty rad, I like her as a villain. Wish she'd appear more. Who I don't like, however, is this genie. So yes, the final boss of Wario Land is a magic genie. Now, he's a real pain because you have to throw his lamp in order to create platforms to jump on his head. Now, the thing about the lamp is, it doesn't always land in the correct position. What causes the lamp to land correctly? Chance. Maybe it'll land correctly, maybe it won't. There's nothing you can do to turn the odds in your favor. Now, the mini genies aren't a problem. However, this attack, while easy to dodge if you're just standing on the ground, can be a major pain when you're throwing the lamp around, jumping around, trying to get a good position. It's an attack that relies on you being in a bad spot. And trust me, there are so many bad spots to be in, so it's a pretty effective attack. Thankfully, though, I did end up getting a pretty good run that time, and Captain Syrup leaves in a huff, but first, she throws a bomb, destroying the rest of her castle. Pretty sore loser, however, by doing that, that reveals the statue of Princess Peach that Syrup had stolen. However, that's not the only theft that will occur today. In comes Mario and the Sky Pop. He thanks Wario and takes the statue. Look at that. Look at him wave, like we did that with the express purpose of giving it to him. Wario wanted to steal that for himself, and Mario just selfishly returns that statue to its rightful owner, the jerk. However, Wario's not gonna let that get him down because, if nothing else, he did get a magic genie lamp. And now the genie's friendly because Wario's apparently a better role model than Captain Syrup? Well, I happen to disagree with that, but the genie will give us one wish. But all Wario wants is a house. A fancy house, sure, but a house nonetheless. However, this genie is a fucker. He just asks for money. What a jerk. He'll just help Captain Syrup kill us for free. But, you know, if Wario wants a castle, gotta pay up. So, there are actually multiple endings to Wario Land. They're not like huge differences or anything, but depending on how much money you get throughout the game, you get a certain ending. Because, of course, the amount of money you have determines how good the house is. So if you have under 10,071 coins, if you have 10,071 coins or under, Wario gets a birdhouse. If you get 10,072 to 40,007 coins, you get a tree trunk house. A little better. 40,008 coins to 70,007 coins gets you a log cabin. Respectable. 70,008 to 90,007 gets Wario Pagoda. 90,008 to 99,998 gets you what I'm going to get. And if you max out money and get 99,999 coins, Wario gets a planet. Now you might be thinking, why didn't you go after, the best ending? Why didn't you want Wario to get a planet? Well, I mean, clearly this is where the timeline splits, and if he gets the planet, then we progress on to Wario World, but, no, not really. But that being said, I am going after the canon ending. I believe you need about, I think you need like 10,000 coins. Like, if you get all the treasures, because the treasure values are added up to the rest of your coins at the end, as you've been looking at here. Doubtlessly you've noticed that, but yeah, I believe 10,000 coins is the minimum you need in order to get the best ending, provided you have all the treasures. If you don't have all the treasures, well, it's a long, grueling process to actually maxing out on money. And so, after all of our treasures are rounded up and valued out, and you get your grand money total, the money will then empty down into money bags, and the number of money bags you get indicates which ending you get. Oh boy, honestly I wish that went a bit faster, but, you know, I guess the genie's patient. The genie has one good attribute, and that's patience. The rest, he's kind of a jerk. And so, the second best ending, the genie creates a little something over there, and by little something, I mean a big castle. And not only is it a castle, but it's a castle that Wario can call his own. So this time, Mario's not gonna come barging in taking it back. Wario owns this property, he wished for it. And so, that's the end of Mario Land 3, Wario Land. So, a bit of a basic platformer. You know, you're not gonna see anything like too fancy in the ways of level design, but it's pretty fun, and despite the fact that I do think this game controls well, without Jet, even basic platforming section, or basic-looking platforming sections, rather, can be pretty difficult. And in terms of other things that are kind of basic but actually pretty good in practice, the level aesthetics. I love how different all the worlds feel. You know, they obviously don't get too fancy because it's only a Game Boy game, but it still looks really good, and you've got some really memorable worlds, all of which have some pretty distinct levels as well. You know, assets of course get reused here and there. You know, they're used to create sort of, you know, as I've said, this sort of smooth level transition where you go sort of from one tile set to another, so things change slowly between levels, and I think that's actually really cool. And, of course, most importantly, though, Wario Land bridges the gap between the Mario Land and the Wario series, so it's got a bit of both worlds. It's more of a standard platformer than the rest of the Wario games, but it's a lot more treasure-focused than the Mario Land games. It definitely gives it a unique feel from both series, really. Wario Land feels way different from Mario Land 2, and the later games in the Wario Land series are gonna feel way different from this game, so, you know, it's not my favorite Wario game, but it's still pretty solid, and I think it managed to carve out a niche all on its own, even if later Wario games would kind of take the series in a much more distinct direction from the rest of the Mario series itself. So while I think the series' identity is made more by the later games in the Wario series, even still, it's a solid game, it's fun, a lot of good design in it. A little weird how a lot of the secret stuff is sort of lopsided towards the front half, but other than that, really well designed, pretty well paced, good levels, good music as well. Probably not my favorite Mario soundtrack or Wario soundtrack for that matter, but also pretty solid. And I think that's just about it for my final thoughts, so while the rest of the credits play out, I've been Fefner. This has been Super Mario Land 3. Wario Land. Can't forget the Wario Land in there, that's very important. Wario would not want you to forget to call the game Wario Land. But anyway, yeah, it's been that game. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time for whatever I do next.